The brother is asking about what's the evidence of performing a second jama'ah in congregation. There's difference of opinion about praying a second jama'ah in a masjid, because the jama'ah is the first jama'ah. And in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Sahaba radiallahu anhum, when some of them, when they would come late, they would pray furada on their own. This was some of them. And some of them, in the presence of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, for example, once he addressed the jama'ah who had already just prayed, and somebody came late, he said, who will pray over this one? Who will pray? Who will give sadaqah for this one? I mean, man yatasaddaq ala hada. Who will give charity for this one? So this is allowed. In the presence of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he allowed a second jama'ah to be in the masjid. There are times that Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself, if and this is mentioned by some of the scholars, that he would go back and pray with his family if the first jama'ah had already been completed. He would go back and pray with his family. So these are all actions that you can do. Pray, go back, you have a choice. But what seems to be allowed is that you can pray a second jama'ah, because al-ibra bi'umumi al-lafz la bi khusus al-sabab. What is to be derived from this narration of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he said, man yatasaddaq ala hada, who will give charity for this one, is that it was allowed. The general benefit we get, it was allowed, not the specific reason for revelation. And that's the scholars, some of the scholars who allow that, and that what seems to be allowed, and Allah knows best, is that it is allowed. And alhamdulillah, we prayed second jama'ah with Shaykh Rabi' in Masjid al-Haram, side by side. Side by side. There's a masjid I heard about in America. Allah knows best, but some of the brothers mentioned to me that in America there was a masjid that if you try to pray a second jama'ah, they'll stop you. MashaAllah. It's a matter of fiqh, difference of opinion. They'll stop you from praying a second jama'ah. So that means if Shaykh Rabi' came in, you will also stop him. Allah ainak. Is this the manner? These are matters of ikhtilaf. We should not have ta'assub on these matters. It's not a matter of usul, where there is no difference of opinion. It's aqidah, it's usul, which is one, which is aqidah. A matter of fiqh, where there's difference of opinion is permitted, where the ijtihad, each scholar brings his ijtihad, he tries his best to bring in the adillah, as I've just mentioned to you, the adillah. Then alhamdulillah, these are matters where you don't start having ta'assub and fighting over, throwing chairs at each other, because he prayed differently than you, because of a matter of ijtihad. Because of a matter of ijtihad. For example, do you move the finger or do you point? In narrations, there are narrations that you point. وَكَانَ يُشِيرُ إِلَيْهَا يُشِيرُ بِهَا. And the other one mentions ziyadat lafz, the additional wording. وَكَانَ يُحَرِّكُهَا وَيَدْعُو بِهَا. The ones that mentioned he used to point, they said, oh, these are from the kibar sahaba, from the khulafa al-rashideen. So therefore, whatever was opposed them is shadh, is in opposition to the truth. The other side, like Shaykh Albani rahimahullah said, no. In Tamam al-Minna, Shaykh Albani rahimahullah said, no. Pointing in Arabic, ishara, doesn't negate moving it. When you say to somebody, ta'al, and you move your hands, come, or you point. The Arabs, they do that, they move their hands. Ta'al. Huna. Is there a negation between moving and pointing? There's no contradiction there. So therefore, Shaykh Albani said, وَكَانَ يُشِيرُ إِلَيْهَا وَيَدْعُو بِهَا وَيُحَرِّكُهَا. There's no difference between that. Go down there. There's no difference between the two. So therefore, in Tamam Minna, that answer of Sheikh Albani is beautiful answer. Beautiful answer. That wording does not oppose pointing. So therefore, we move our finger, our index finger, while looking at it. Slowly we move it. And I prayed next to Sheikh Rabi Hafidullah, and I used to move it very quickly. And at the end of the prayer, he said to me, this will occupy you. What is meant by shidda, with emphasis, is not that you move it quickly, but rather shiddatul inaya, that you take your care in when you move in it, and you are reflecting upon what you are saying. At-tahiyyatu lillah, salatu wa tayyibatu, and so on. So it doesn't have to be quickly, but rather, this is what Sheikh Rabi told us. So now somebody does that and somebody does that. Are you going to fight over it? Argue over it? No, this is a difference of opinion amongst the scholars. Are you going to look straight in the prayer, or are you going to look at the place of prostration? Sheikh Albani said the hadith is sahih. It's hasan, sorry. Yeah, it's a good chain. Look down at your prostration. The Prophet did that. Sheikh Muqbil said the hadith is da'if, so therefore, and there are narrations saying look straight. So which one are we going to follow? We look at the proof. Sheikh Albani wallahu alam, seem to have brought the proof that the hadith is hasan. Hadith is good. You're going to fight over it? You're going to argue? You can discuss, but this is the manner and etiquette that you should have. And if you pray behind somebody who puts his hands on his chest, or he puts it down after ruku', and he's from Sunnah, he's Sunni, then follow the Imam, because he made ijtihad on this matter. And that happened between the mashayikh, the kibar, Sheikh Abdulillah bin Baz rahimahullah, Sheikh al-Albani rahimahullah, as was mentioned by some of the mashayikh, that they would do that. So therefore, do we fight? No. Hands on your chest after ruku', or do you put it down your side? The ones who said put it down your side, they say the Prophet didn't say put it back on your chest. Well, the other side they said, like Sheikh Albani said, the other side they said, the likes of Sheikh Ubaid, Sheikh Al-Uthaymeen, Sheikh Albani, Sheikh bin Baz, rahimahullah, Sheikh Sa'id Fawzan, they come in the angle of, well, also the Prophet didn't say put it on your side. The ones who say put it on your chest, they use the proof that all the bones go back to their original position. So when you are standing, that was the original position. The other side, Sheikh Muhammad al-Banna rahimahullah and Sheikh Albani rahimahullah said, well, hold on. The Prophet showed the one who prayed badly where to put the hands. But he didn't say put it back on your chest after ruku'. So therefore, you don't put it back on your chest. But the other side, they said, but we have a hadith of Rasul. First of all, nor did he say put it down on your side. And we have a hadith, the hadith of Sahl ibn Sa'ad radiallahu anhu, that the Prophet while in the standing position in the prayer, he would put his right hand over his left hand, yani on his chest, right over the left on the chest, while he's standing in the prayer. So my question is, and the scholars they question, when you're standing in the prayer, because he didn't say standing outside, he said in the prayer you are standing. Are you standing or sitting after ruku'? You're standing. Are you standing or prostrating after ruku'? You're standing. Are you standing or bowing after? You're standing. Because there's only 4 positions. You can't have number 5. You're either prostrating, bowing, standing, or sitting. So while in the prayer you are standing, he would put his right hand over his left hand on his chest. Hadith of Sahl ibn Sa'ad, which is sahih. So therefore, what do you want me to do? I want to follow Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Put your right hand on left hand. I want to do that. going to fight about it if you don't do it? No. Based upon the dalil, love the adillah. Somebody may say, but the second standing is not like the first standing. Just like in the tashahhud, you have the sitting of tashahhud and the sitting in between the sujood. There's also sitting, yes? Are they the same? They're not the same. Shaykh Albani used that benefit. They're not the same. He said that the sitting of tashahhud, you're moving your finger, but sitting and pointing with it, and the sitting in between the sujood, you're not moving your finger. If you're saying that you must put your hands after ruku' on your chest, then you must also move your finger in between the prostrations. Shaykh Albani said that. Okay, Aisha. Hammam. Take it to the top. So what do we do with this? This is you must also move your finger in between the prostration, in between the two sujoods. So what do we do? Shaykh Albani said that if you're going to say that, put your hand on your chest after ruku', then you must, because you're saying standing is one, but here I've shown you that there's two different sittings, so there must, and also there are two different standings. This is what Shaykh Albani says. But the other side, they say, well, hold on. In tashahhud, the Prophet already said that in tashahhud you say this. He didn't say in the sitting you say this. He said in tashahhud. So we're moving the finger because of not the sitting. The fact is you're sitting, yes, but in tashahhud. Yad'u biha. So there's a distinction then. It's not the same. But in the standing, there's no distinction. Give me a proof there is a distinction between the first standing and second standing, and I am with you. So therefore, there is no distinction, and Allah knows best, between the first standing and the second standing. So I put my right hand on my left hand on my chest, based upon the advice of the scholars who brought that proof and brought those arguments in the best of ways. And alhamdulillah, this is the way of Ahlul Sunnah. And Allah knows best. But we were talking about the other one, but we brought the other stuff. It's unlikely. Then he feeds for every day that he misses, a poor person. But as for the one is likely to get better, like the breastfeeding women, Sheikh Ubaid said that it's better for her that she makes up those fasts. And as for the pregnant women, then it depends on her situation. If she is a situation where she finds it difficult for her, she fears for herself and the janeen, and likewise she will get better later, just like the breastfeeding women, then she can make up her fasts afterwards, because fasting is a pillar. It's not a light matter, and it's great in reward. It's pleasing to Allah. Fasting is for me and I reward it. As-sawmu li wa ana ajzi bihi. That's not light, that's heavy. So the woman is encouraged to fast. Alhamdulillah, in this country, the fasting becomes easier in the winter. Isn't that so? But in the summer, it's 18 hours or so. In the winter, 12 hours maybe. In the winter, 12 hours, maybe even less. You break your fast about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And somebody sent me a text message saying that in Argentina it's only 5 hours of fasting. So everybody's going to get a plane to Argentina. Huh? Allah help us. And Allah knows best.
Do you know what he said about the illness that's temporary or permanent? Can they, if someone's diabetic, then what do they do? For example, would they feed them?
If the Muslim doctor advises them that they shouldn't fast and it's going to harm them and so on, they may faint, they may go in a coma. Allah Alam what the situation may be. It's different degrees. Then they can feed for every day per person. But if it's a situation where, like subhanAllah, my own mother, I said if it's difficult for you, then you can break it and then feed for every day. But even she's diabetic and she still tries to fast. So it depends on each situation. Allah knows best.
Fast is makruh if you're ill. Just carry on fasting and think
Wallahi, akhi, you shouldn't put hardship upon yourself. Allah wants ease. Allah said that in Surah Al-Baqarah when He spoke about the affair of Siyam. يريد بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر. Allah wants ease for you, not hardship. Like the traveler, for example, or one who's traveling. Shaykh Muhammad bin Hadi said, either he's traveling while he's fasting and he is in a situation of ease, or is in a situation of difficulty. In this case, is the one who's in ease is better for him to continue his fast. The one who's in hardship, distress, find it difficult, is better for him to break his fast. Because the Sahaba, when they traveled together in the month of Ramadan, some of them were fasting, some of them were not. And each group would not look down upon the other. Or, and regarding the ibadah, regarding the breaking of the fast. Wallahu alam. Wa jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum.
Can I ask you about
6:30 inshallah.
I want to know about reciting Surah al-Fatiha.
Well, 6:15 is Salat al-Asr. Khalas, we come for 6:15.
I want to ask you about reciting Surah al-Fatiha behind the Imam when he recites loud.
Surah al-Fatiha. Again, difference of opinion, and the strongest position is that you recite it behind the Imam, not just in the silent prayers, but also the loud prayers. Why? When somebody was competing with Rasulullah ﷺ in the prayer, he was reading, the Prophet said, who is that competing with me? He said, don't do that except for Fatihatul Kitab. Except for Fatihatul Kitab. As for those who say the Quran, when it's recited, it should be listened to. وَإِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنُ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. Those who use that verse to say that you should listen, فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ, and be attentive that you may gain mercy, then being silent doesn't necessarily mean that you're not reading and moving your lips. Because the Prophet ﷺ, when he was in the Salah and he was saying his dua al-istiftah, opening dua, as soon as you say takbiratul ihram, Allahu Akbar, and he would say his dua, and some words would be audible, and it was in a silent, he said it silently, but some words were audible. اللهم باعد بيني وبين خطاياك كما بعدت بين المشرق والمغرب اللهم نقم من خطاياك كما ينقى الثوب الأبيض, and so on until the end. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu asked, what were you saying when you were silent? So therefore being silent doesn't necessarily mean that you are quiet, that you're not saying anything. Sheikh Muhammad Bazmul brought this fa'idah in a book called Tarjih. So therefore what seems to be apparent is لا صلاة لمن لم يقرأ بفاتحة الكتاب. There's no prayer for the one who doesn't recite the Fatihatul Kitab. And that is the strongest position. And Allah knows best. Allah. What time is it now?